So hello everyone, in this video I'll be telling you how you can write IDs in CSS. So what are actually IDs? IDs are some kind of you can think of it as classes, but we can only use it for one element, and it starts with this pound symbol or this hash symbol. So ID is basically used to define the styling for one element. So you can just write the ID name. It also follows the same convention that you should not start with start an ID with a number. You can only start with an underscore or a text. So you can write, for example, I can write IND, or I can make red ID, and inside that I can specify the color red. I want to apply this to this inline element. You can see that this is having the inline CSS, so we can also do that, but sometimes whenever the properties are larger, right now it is only two, so whenever the properties are like higher in number, then at that time we'll be making one ID and then we'll be calling that, so that reduces the large amount of code we write in the HTML while styling. So that reduces that. So we'll be also adding one more property, which is background color. Background or background color, both you can write, that will give the same thing. Aqua white, I can write antique white. Now I can remove this one. So you can see that the styling will be removed. Yeah. Now for calling this ID, I'll be using the ID attribute, just like we used class attribute for calling the class. Similarly, we'll be using ID attribute to call an ID. So I'll be calling this red without the hash symbol. You can see that. So you can see that the styling is applied now. So also remember one thing, that you cannot reuse this ID again. We can reuse them, like if I add ID here as well, so that will also work. That will also work. That, but we should not use it. Like if you are calling multiple times one ID, then that means you should not create ID. Instead, you can create class, because classes are basically designed to do this kind of things, that you want to style multiple elements. So you will be using classes. Also that will work, but we should not use it because that's not a standard procedure you should follow. ID is for only one element. You'll not be reusing this ID again. Only for one element you'll be using, but classes can be reused in multiple elements. So you can see that we used blue in multiple elements. So like, but ID cannot be reused in multiple elements. ID can be used only in one element. We should use in one element. Also we can use that, but we should not use it. That's not a standard foot procedure we should follow. So this is what ID is, and you can also call the multiple IDs. If I create one more ID, for example, uh, right, if I create this right ID, and if I apply text align right, and if I call this ID inside this ID after giving a space, then that will also be called here. Okay, yeah, okay, it's not called here. Okay, you cannot call ID, I think. This is followed only for the classes. Yeah, so you cannot call multiple IDs inside one element. Only one ID will be there. So that I wanted to show, but that didn't work. So only one ID can be called inside this. You cannot call multiple IDs, and you can call multiple classes on one element, but not multiple IDs. That's the point. So this is what I wanted to tell you about IDs. Let's meet in the another video with an exciting topic. So thank you for watching. Let's meet in the another one.